Hi everyone, it's Kim from the Shamrock Quilt Studio. I'm just making a casual video today about something I'm working on, and I'm not mic'd up, so I hope you can hear me okay. But we're just going to make a little bit of a video here about what I'm doing with Miss Karen today. The last time we left Miss Karen, I had taken it off of the frame. It's a little warm, so pardon me. And it still didn't look quite right because I think a lot of the quilting on this, the hatch that we put on this quilt has kind of distorted it a little bit. And that center medallion is not quilted at all, and it just looks a little funny. I don't know if you can tell it. Now this is stretched on my hoop pretty good, but here you can tell this is all quilted a lot underneath this applique, and then here there's no quilting at all. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to quilt a little echo around the outside of this, and then also quilt a little echo around the circle itself. I'm not going in here to do the petals, just the little outline. And it's probably going to be about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch away from the outside of the fabric. And see if that helps. Now, I didn't put this back on the Grace frame. I just put this in a hoop because it's pretty small, and that helps me, number one, not to get it out again, because even though it's very flexible in its size and it does go together pretty easily, it's still a task to get that out and set it up. And it takes up room in the studio, and for something this small, it's really not worth it. So I'm just going to be working on my hoop, and let's see, I hope I don't lose. There's my needle. I'm just going to use some Americana thread like I have before, and we're going to see if we can't get this done. And I'm trying to work today by just daylight, not have to get a light out as well. Oh my goodness, there are 2 needles here. There's one already on the imagine that. Okay, so we're set up and ready to go then. I thought that's what it was, but all of a sudden I would see the second needle. So I'm just going to pull this through, and I'm going to start right here at this stem. And let me bring you down just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. That should do it. So we're just going to start here, and I'm going to bring my needle up underneath that stem and then come out on the other side. So when we pull that, that knot is going to bury under that, and that looks like it's really well done there. And then we're just going to take some stitches. Don't worry, I'm not going to have you watch me do this whole thing, but I just wanted to get started a bit. Now, normally, if you've watched me hand quilt before, you know that I normally use a little piece of mylar that has a grid on it, and that helps me keep my stitches even. I'm not using that for this because it is a shape that I'm going around, but I'm trying to take my time so that my stitches will be pretty consistent. And I'm taking my time both in where that needle is coming back up through the fabric and how long the stitch is. And if I weren't filming, I'd probably recline just a little bit more so that I have a little more comfortable position. But this will do for right now. I think my frame is maybe a little close to me as well. But you know, that's all about getting comfortable with what you're doing and seeing how that works. So we are moving right along. It's not a fast process, but I've probably got, stitching wise, I'd say almost 2 inches done now. So this is really something that's going to be pretty quick. And then I think the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and spray it with the water to release those blue marks. I really thought that as long as it's been sitting, and it's probably been I would say a week and a half since it came off the frame, that by now those blue marks would have been gone. But apparently it just feels more humid in the house to me than the marker thinks it is. So we will do that. And one of my viewers sent me a tip that suggested that by adding a little bit of baking soda to the water that we're using to remove these marks may help it come out better. And I think that's because it probably changes the pH of the water. So in areas where you had, I guess that would be a more alkaline water, that putting the the baking soda in there would neutralize that pH a bit and may help the marks go away. And I am going to try that because there are quite a few marks still on here. I don't want to wash this, and I would prefer not to spend a lot of time trying to get the marks off. So we're going to give that a shot, and I'll let you know how that works. So we have gone around one curve now. Give me just a second, and I'll show you what this is going to look like. I am downloading files to my computer for editing for some new videos that we just did. And while one camera is downloading, we're recording on the other one. Okay, so we're around one little hump in here. I don't know if you can see that right there. We've done this section. And I think that in the long run, that will help a good little bit. And I'm not going to be pulling it really tight, but I am going to keep it snug. I think some of the puckering we're seeing is because on the frame it was probably pulled a little snugger than normal, and that's what we were seeing. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. I just wanted to kind of bring you up to date on what's going on with this. We haven't seen it in a little while because we've got a lot of different projects in the works. And I'm trying to shuffle back and forth from one project to the other to keep them moving. And I'm really at a point where I'm ready to finish this and be done with it. But it's got to look right. If it doesn't look right, then it needs the attention that it needs to get it to where it looks the way we want it to look. So again, I'm going to do that stitching around the outside of this medallion here. And then again here. And then we're going to spray it to remove the marks. I don't know if you can see all these blue marks here. So there's quite a few. So what I'll do is I'll probably spray it and let it sit out on my table that I normally work at. And after it's had a little bit of time to let that water absorb into the fabric, then I'll turn the fan on so it will dry a little quickly, and then see if we need to spray it again. And then, of course, after that, if we're beginning to look like we should as far as all of the puckers and so forth, then we'll go ahead and trim this and put the binding on it, and we're going to bind it in the same fabric. So we are moving along with it. Like I said, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a glance of what might be happening behind the scenes on this and what I'm doing with this particular project. And I still really, really like it, but I'm a little concerned about the number of puckers we're seeing. So let me take those steps and see where we are, and if this solves the problem, and we can move forward with binding it. And we will be back with another update on this very soon. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next week at the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Bye.